I personally think that the problems that we're having with the world situation and the currencies all over the earth, people are actually starting to lose confidence in them already. And this is what you're seeing happening in the cryptocurrency space. This is why you're seeing cryptocurrency going to 2,400 and passing 2,400 bucks. What really is cryptocurrency? What really is Bitcoin? It's something that's of nothing in a computer. Why would people want to buy something that's value was 5 cents a few years ago and is only digits in a computer? And I'll explain to you why they want it so bad. They want it so bad because they're losing faith in the dollar and they're looking for some place to turn. Now, where they would turn is where they went, where they've actually been before. This is safe ground in precious metals. All the way through history, we've been in precious metals. And this is considered to be safe ground. It's like, okay, if you were traveling down a trail in the woods and you got lost, and suddenly every tree would look the same, every rock would look the same, and you're off the trail, a ways off the trail, and you don't know where you are, and you remembered when you were leaving the trail, you remembered seeing this stone, a great big rock, with maybe a bit of red paint splashed on it, and in the sun, this big rock in the sun with some red paint splashed on it when you left the trail, and now you're lost in the woods and you don't know where you're at. And suddenly this panic goes through you. You think, well, I starve here in the woods. Will I ever be able to find my way out? And you start running frantically through the woods. And the more you run through the woods, you start to sweat. And you start to get really upset because you can't find your way out. And you're thinking you're going to starve in the woods and you got no water. And you can just feel you're thirsty already. And there's nothing to drink and you're lost. Your first time you've ever been lost in the woods. And you don't know where you are. You're just disoriented. And so you go running real panicky through the woods, and all of a sudden you see this red rock with the red paint splashed on it, the rock you'd passed on the trail. And then you said, right? And you go and you look and you see the trail where you were. And then all of a sudden you're not disoriented anymore. You've got a marker, something that you can go by that you know you're going to be safe in. You know it's going to lead you home. Well, all through history, that marker, that rock with the red paint on it, was your gold and silver. But what they've done quite recently, and just in the last few years, is they have taken this marker, or this thing that's been the safety, and they have manipulated the price downwards so much for such a long period of time that they've made it so people don't really have faith in it anymore. Of the thing that they should have the most faith in of anything, the people don't have faith in it anymore. Money managers and stuff, they don't have faith in it anymore because the price has been artificially manipulated downwards for so long that they've lost faith in precious metals. But all of these people have seen the cryptocurrency space go up and up and up because it's not been manipulated the same way as precious metals. It's not been manipulated downwards. They've seen it go up and up and up, and they're starting to have faith because they don't have faith in the fiat currencies. And so this cryptocurrency is representing an alternative to the fiat currencies that is not being manipulated downwards. And this is why so much money's flowing into it. This is a bad, very bad, negative sign for the currencies, like the dollar and all the other currencies that go along with it. This is a very bad negative sign that they are actually would take something that is a will-o'-the-wisp like Bitcoin. It's something you can't grab a hold of, you can't see it, you can't touch it. It exists only inside a computer. If the power turns off, it's gone. It disappears. It doesn't even exist if the power goes out. That they would be willing to take that over the fiat currencies, and with such desperation. They're going into it with such desperation that they can't wait to get a hold of some. This is a bad sign that the dollar is being finally in the death throes of being destroyed. Now, at a certain point, manipulation or not, the gold and the silver are going to go up too. At a certain point. At a certain point, they're going to lose control. They've been able to extend control amazingly long, suppressing the price downwards on gold and silver, but they're going to take off too. It's all going to take off. Everything that's not a dollar-oriented asset, in other words, is not connected to the paper Ponzi scheme. Everything that's an alternative to the paper Ponzi scheme is going to take off. Everything. Bitcoin, like everything. It's all going to go. Big time. But the cryptocurrencies are going first. They're going a little bit in advance. But don't worry. Precious metals is going to see its day too. It's all going to be carried upwards. And what's going to be carried downwards is everything that's connected to the paper Ponzi scheme. Now, let me explain something to you. And I think you might find this very interesting, what I'm going to say next. I went along most of my adult life not realizing anything about all this stuff, about the cryptocurrencies, precious metals. I was a noob to all of it. I didn't know anything about any of it. And a few years ago, back probably about maybe 2 years before I started in Bitcoin. Let's see, when did I start in Bitcoin? When it touched $260 for the first time. That's when I started in Bitcoins. But about 2 years before that, maybe 2.5 years before that, I got a realization dawned on me. I think I was listening on the internet to somebody talking, and a realization suddenly dawned on me in my mind. A light bulb went off inside my head. And it said to me, hey, all of this money that we're using, we think is money, is not money. It suddenly dawned on me it's not really money. And that it's not, that it's all unbacked and unsecured, and it's all just like paper. It's like, and then I started to dig and do research and stuff. This is about 2 years before, or maybe 3. It might have been 3 years before I got into cryptocurrencies. So I got into cryptocurrencies when Bitcoin touched 260. So it was a few years back before that. And it suddenly dawned on me, hey, you know, this money that we've been using all this time is not real. It's all a fantasy. It's all a Ponzi scheme. And when I realized that, I said to myself, well, gee, I got to get into something. I gotta find something alternative, because all this might crash. And I started to do research into it. And the more research I got, the more frightened I got about the whole thing is just going to turn to dust, and it's all going to disintegrate. And into a giant, because it's a Ponzi scheme, it's all gonna collapse. I come to that realization. I said, hey, I got to get something. So I said to myself, gee, you know, I was laying there in bed that night, and I said to myself, gee, you know, there must be all kinds of different things I can get out of the paper and into that's going to be valuable and going to go up in value. I said to myself, there must be all kinds of alternatives. There must be all kinds of alternatives, right? But this is back before I knew about cryptocurrency. And so I went and I started to do research then. The very next day, I started to do research to try to find out what the alternatives were to fiat as a store of value. And I thought there must be at least 10 different alternatives. I mean, I was noob to all this. I just figured in my mind, well, there must be a lot of alternatives. And I started to do some research the very next day, and I found out there is nothing except one: metal. I said, gee, this is weird. The only alternative to the Fiat Ponzi system. Oh, okay, yeah, you can go out and buy barrels of oil or something like that. But, I mean, for the normal fella, what's he got as an alternative for the... I mean, I'm not going to go out and buy 50 barrels of crude oil and try to store it away. Or I'm not going to go out and buy 50 barrels of grain, rice, or something like that and try to store it away, those commodities. So I said, what's the alternative to the fiat system? And I found one alternative, just one: metal. And what I come to realize was that there's actually... I come to realize that there's a number of different metals, but the two primary ones are gold and silver. But there's a number of other ones. There's copper, and there's nickel. There's palladium, and there's these other ones, you know. But they're different metals, and they're all metals, you know. And so I realized there's nothing else. There's only metal. There's metal, and there's the paper Ponzi scheme. So I went along that way for a couple of years, realizing that all there was metal in the paper Ponzi scheme. And all of a sudden, I think it was my mother came along. She said to me, "Hey, there's this new stuff that's you're able to trade over the internet. These coins," she said, "called bitcoins." And I got her. I said, "Well, what's that?" And she tried to explain to me how it worked. And immediately I thought to myself, Ponzi scheme. Well, the thing was if I had invested right then, I think that was like 2010 or something like that. She told me real early. I went a couple years after that thinking it was a Ponzi scheme before, and when Bitcoin started to really go up and it made its way up to 260, that's when I really did my investigation into it and realized that it wasn't a Ponzi scheme. But before then, I thought it was a Ponzi scheme, and I should have been into it then. I mean, then they were only like 50 cents a piece or something, you know, when my mother first told me. I mean, I'm regretting that I didn't go after it then and do some research then, you know. Anyway, when they're $260 a piece, I got myself a couple of them, but I did some research and I realized, hey, this is another alternative to the paper Ponzi scheme. So now we just don't have precious metals anymore. It's the only alternative. Now we have cryptocurrencies as another alternative to the paper Ponzi scheme. And why I call it the paper Ponzi scheme is just that. It has to collapse. There's no other alternative. It has to collapse and become valueless. It's mathematical certainty that this has to happen. I know they have been able to put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off. All they're doing is building more and more pressure behind it. And this whole thing with the cryptocurrencies right now going to the moon is all a sign of this pressure. The pressure that's on the Ponzi scheme. It's all just a sign. It's a symptom of a much greater problem. And when this thing goes down, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to explain to you what it's going to be like. It's going to be like a buffet dinner on Sunday afternoon, right? And so a whole bunch of ladies and stuff are going to have a buffet dinner on Sunday afternoon. They bring chicken. They bring about 20 chickens, and they bring fried chicken. Make about 20 chickens into fried chicken, apple pies, and everything, right? And so they set it all up on a couple picnic tables for this Sunday buffet. But 3,000 people are going to come to eat. And, okay, 20 chickens is a lot of chickens, but 3,000 people are going to come to this thing, right? Say they got a huge family or something. So they set it all up on these picnic tables, and then they got this big pot. Then they start boil corn in it. And they put 2,000 pounds of corn that they're boiling in. A farmer donates from his field 2,000 pounds of corn that he's going to cook in these pots, right? A whole ton of corn. So all the people start to come. Well, what do you think is going to go first? First, the fried chicken's going to go. And the apple pies are going to go. I mean, they're going to go so fast, when the big crowd comes in, that it's going to make your eyes spin in your head, and what's going to be left is the corn and the stuff they got more of. Like, say they got a big tub of oatmeal too. Say they got 24,000 pounds of oatmeal. Even the corn's going to go zoom, gone. And then the people are going to say, left, are going to say, we're still hungry. And they say, well, you can have some of that boiled oatmeal over there. And they're like, oh, okay, we're hungry, we'll eat it. But we don't like it that much. We want some of the apple pie. Is there any apple pie left? No, it's all gone for ages. Any chicken left? No. All we got left is oatmeal. Well, this is what's going to happen with this crisis that's coming. You've got your four main thing or five main things. Okay, you got your five main courses here. Actually, six. Okay, I'll name them for you. You got physical copper. You've got physical gold, physical silver. Right? This is like the chicken. See? And then you've got your cryptocurrencies. You've got Bitcoin. Bitcoin's like the apple pie. You know, and then you got Litecoin. Litecoin is like the, say they had some cherry pies there, you know? And this is all the good stuff. Bitcoin stuff. And then Ethereum. Oh, that's good stuff too, you know? And all of it. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin are all going to go to the moon, and so is silver and gold and copper and everything else, the physical gold and silver and copper. So then the people are going to say, well, what's left? Well, the oatmeal is going to be these altcoins. Like some of them, even in the altcoins you're not paying any attention to, like digital coin. Everybody's sitting back there in WorldCoin and Dogecoin and all these different altcoins that nobody's paying any attention to right now, like Phoenix Coin. You know what I mean? And like Florin Coin. And I mean, I could go on for a little while naming a bunch of these altcoins nobody's paying any attention to. They're not dying. They're staying alive, but they're going to be the oatmeal. And trust me, when the people are hungry, they're going to go after the oatmeal again, and they'll drive that to the moon even. But can you imagine what the price of Bitcoins and the good ones are going to be up to, and the silver and the gold's going to be up to when they drive all these obscure altcoins up? It's because all of the money in the world is going to become worthless. It's going to be worth... all of the paper currencies is going to go to absolute zero. And so what will they pay? It might be $1,000 for a Dogecoin in the end, for one Dogecoin, to just get out of the paper Ponzi scheme and to get into something that's going in the opposite direction that's going to become the new money. What we're looking at is they've created a situation here where we're going to make a world transition into new money from old garbage money. And they've made this money into garbage. They've made it so that we're going to all want to get out of it simultaneously because it's absolutely useless. They have, in 1913, $1 would buy you a lot. It would buy you probably 20 times or more what you can buy now with it. Easily. Man, I heard my grandmother and grandfather tell me that they used to work for 50 cents a day, all day long for 50 cents. Nowadays, these kids at McDonald's are making $15 an hour, a lot of them, or $10 or $15 an hour, working like for minimum, because they've destroyed 97% of the buying power of your dollar. There was a time when kids would fight over a penny. Now, kids won't even pick up a dollar bill. They're like, oh, I don't want that. They're like, I want at least 5. Their parents come up to them, you know, and they offer them $1, and the kid turns his nose up at it and says, no, I don't want that. I want at least a $20. You know, like my dad, he used to go to the movie theater, and he used to watch the big show. They'd have like 5 or 6 different shows at the movie theater, and then he'd get a popcorn, and he would get a drink, and he would get a hot dog, all for 10 cents. That's what my dad used to get. Now you're not going to get into the theater. Matinee is, I think, like $10. And I think it's $20 to get into the theater, and that's not going to get you your popcorn. Your popcorn's going to be like $7.95. and your soda pop's going to be like $3, and and a hot dog's like $6 more. You don't get out of there for the 50, you know. And I mean, he used to pay a dime. This is what they've done to our money. So they knocked 97% out of our money now. How long is it going to take them to get rid of the last 3% until the money is absolutely worth nothing? This is going to be a Weimar Germany, except it's going to be worldwide Weimar Germany. Now, see, what happens is always happened, like in Zimbabwe, Weimar Germany, places like Romania, they've had hyperinflations. And what always happens is they always go to the currency next door. Like take Venezuela right now. They're experiencing hyperinflation. They use the U.S. dollar. They always use the currency next door of a country that isn't in hyperinflation. They use their currency, see, as something of value. But in this case, this is going to be a worldwide. When the world reserve currency goes down in hyperinflation, all of the other currencies are back to the world reserve currency. The world reserve currency right now is the U.S. dollar, and it's backed by oil. It's only worth as much oil as it will buy. Now, when the oil price starts to go up again, and it's absolutely going to, what's going to happen is the dollar's going to lose its value. So if the oil price right now is, say, $53, right, then the U.S. dollar index is going to result in that. But if the oil price goes up to 100, the U.S. dollar index is going to lose almost half. And it's just going to, and that's what's going to happen when the oil price goes back up again. And they are undercutting that effect of the petrodollar. The petrodollar has been in it's being eroded. It's losing its status as the world reserve currency. And so when the dollar is not backed by oil anymore, then the dollar really will be backed by nothing. See, right now, the dollar's not backed by nothing. All these guys that say the dollar's backed by nothing, the dollar's backed by oil, and that's what gives it its worth. And all of the other currencies on Earth are backed by the dollar. And so they're all tied to oil. They're not tied to nothing. They're tied to oil. And when they really do float free, when the U.S. dollar is not used as the de facto currency to buy oil with anymore, then at that point, when they start buying oil with say gold or renminbi or whatever, at that point we're in huge trouble, because then the dollar is going to lose. It's going to lose big, and it's going to go into a hyperinflation. When it does, then all the currencies will go into a hyperinflation with it, unless they're backed by gold and silver. And this is the plan of the Chinese. They've been planning this all along. And this is why I tell you that these guys are not our friends. They've been hoarding gold so that they can back their currency with gold when this happens. And so they'll have something. This is what they want. This is their plan. And we won't have diddly squat. All we'll have is bitcoins. And we won't even have them, because the Chinese are taking most of them. There's only 20 million of the things, of the bitcoins. And the Chinese want them all. And the Indians now, they want them all too. And Africa's going to want them all. I mean, there's only 20 million. Each of these countries is going to want them all. And then when they want them all, then the United States is going to want some too. Everybody in the world is going to want them, and they're going to be pulling at them. And this is this picnic I've been telling you about. Like the picnic where they all want the fried chicken. This is what's coming. But it's not just going to extend itself to bitcoins. It's going to extend itself to the precious metals too. And when they lose control over these precious metals, they're probably going to go up. You think Bitcoin's going up fast right now? You ain't seen nothing yet to when you see it's going to happen with the precious metals when they go too. And they're going to go up too. Don't you kid yourself. At a certain point, when these bankers lose control, the whole thing, it's all going to go up. All of it. Not just the Bitcoins and the cryptocurrencies, but all of it. Precious metals and everything. What's going to go down is your precious dollars. They're going to go down in flames. And if you're still stuck when that's all you got, you're going to be crying in your soup. Okay, so thank you for listening. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next article. Bye.